We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Has come for our voices to be heard, for our borders to be secured, and our immigration laws enforced. Welcome to the Ruthie Report. Let's start the show in the correct fashion. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. So good to be back with you. Our guest this evening is going to be Rusty Fleming. As many of you know, Rusty Fleming is my guest the first Thursday of each month. And it is because he's a source, a wealth of information. What we are going to discuss tonight is the all-in-out war that is going on just over our southern unsecured border. As Rusty has stated in the past, the cartel warfare taking place in Mexico silences only when the cartels are working together or until one statement or action revives it. You know, my thoughts on this is real simple. The current situation and reports coming out of Mexico are much like that compared to what we are seeing around the world in third world countries. And yet, our borders and ports remain unsecured. It is unbelievable. What Rusty and I are also going to discuss is the new orders to the Border Patrol by the man currently in the White House and the devastating impact it will have, not to mention how it has to be just demoralizing to these brave men and women. Rusty will join us at the top of the hour. Rusty Fleming is the Public Information Officer for the Hudspeth County Sheriff's Office in Texas, and an award-winning producer, director, author, and consultant for 25 years. He has started a multimedia company to produce corporate industrial films, commercials, and segments. He is recognized by the national media and law enforcement agencies as an expert on border security and the Mexican drug cartel. Again, Rusty will be joining us in one quick hour. Now, we are going to take a quick 3-minute break, commercial break, and when we return, we will jump in to lead stories. Please stay tuned, folks.
How are things with the new guy?
All we do is go out to dinner.
That's it?
I mean, he picks up the tab every time, which is great.
Why? He's using you. He probably has a city thank you card and he gets 2 times the points at restaurants.
So he's just racking up points with me.
Some people.
Ugh.
No, I got it.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on dining out and entertainment with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown.
This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. As you know, we're going to get right to lead stories. I do have one announcement, however, before we jump in. The archived link for the Ruthie Report, for the programs, the archived link is now up and functional, and I do apologize for the delays, but we have compiled a great slide presentation to view while you listen to the shows. Please do check it out. You can go to the link that is at the show announcements at the bottom, or you can go to YouTube, www.youtube.com, and put in the search bar the Ruthie Report. I promise you, you will enjoy it. Okay, let's get right to lead stories. We have a lot to get through tonight, so we're just going to kind of fly through. This first item is from the WashingtonTimes.com, dated February 3rd. Obama to host illegal immigrant dreamers at the White House. President Obama will host a half a dozen of dreamers, illegal immigrants under his temporary deportation amnesty at the White House on Wednesday, as he tries to fight back against Republican efforts to cancel his immigration policies. And that's all I'm going to share. It could be, just say one dreamer to another. Just saying, I had to put that in there. The only reason that I even shared this with you is so that, one, you're in the know, but to express my thoughts on how this is so in your face by Obama. I just cannot believe the childishness. Frankly, folks, we can do much better for the role of president. Really. It's such a childish games. It's unbelievable. Moving on. This is Reuters, dated January 29th. Nevada Attorney General joins lawsuit against Obama's amnesty. Nevada's newly minted Republican Attorney General has joined a multi-state lawsuit seeking to block Obama's order easing the threat of deportation for millions of undocumented immigrants without the support of the state's moderate governor. Attorney General Adam Laxalt, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, said that Obama's November order undermines the rule of law and the U.S. Constitution. He said, quote unquote, the president cannot bypass the people's elected representatives in Congress just because they do not pass the law he wants. Good for him. And the list on the lawsuit continues to grow. All right, next item. This is from Breitbart. Just a moment here. I just have to make sure everything is running correctly here. This next item is from Breitbart. It's dated February 2nd. The title is Los Angeles officials want to raise $10 million for amnesty applicants. Oh, good grief. Los Angeles officials and leaders will attempt to raise $10 million to help illegal immigrants apply for President Obama's executive amnesty program. According to the Los Angeles Times, Mayor Eric Garcetti announced the effort on Friday. The plan is reportedly for a joint effort between the City of Los Angeles and the California Community Foundation. They have apparently already raised $5 million for the effort from organizations like the Wingert Foundation and the California Endowment. The funds will reportedly be distributed to nonprofits that are hiring attorneys and opening offices in anticipation of the crush of new customers. Folks, right from the get-go, it's going to be like this all night. Almost every single one of these items tonight, just get right off the get-go. Wouldn't it be refreshing, really refreshing, if these Los Angeles officials and foundations were actually raising money and working so hard for, let's say, how about our homeless American veterans or our homeless American families? Those Americans who are down and out and unemployed due to the pandering for the lawless taking place. Wouldn't it be refreshing if they were working so hard for Americans instead of illegal aliens? If you are in California or you have a mind to, I would email the City of Los Angeles and share your points of view, specifically to the mayor's office. Moving on, there is a new handbook of sorts that Senator Jeff Sessions has put out. It's titled Immigration Handbook for the New Republican Majority. It's dated January 2015. It says a memo for Republican members from Senator Jeff Sessions. It is 23 pages in length, but it is chock full of information, polls and STEM info and the economy and immigration and the welfare state and more. I mean, it really has a lot of information in it. So let me just share with you the conclusion on the last page, but I do really think that you would like to enjoy and learn and look this up for yourselves. Again, the title is Immigration Handbook for the New Republican majority by Senator Jeff Sessions. What he says in conclusion is this: the immigration debate can be reduced to three essential questions. 1. Is America a sovereign nation that has the right to control its borders and decide who comes to live and work here? 2. Should American immigration laws serve the just interests of the country and its citizens? And number 3, and do those citizens have the right to expect and demand that the laws passed by their elected representatives be enforced? If we believe the answer to these questions are yes, then we have no choice but to fight and to win. Why were we elected if not to serve the people who sent us here? Excellent, excellent. Again, the title, and you can find it on Senator Jeff Sessions' site. The title is Immigration Handbook for the New Republican Majority. A lot of information in there. I'd love to go through it with you. We just wouldn't have time. All right, here we go. If this one doesn't toast your muffins right off the get-go, I don't know what will. This is at the Washington Times, dated February 3rd. The title, are you ready? IRS offers extra tax refunds to illegal immigrants granted amnesty by Obama. I kid you not. IRS Commissioner John Cosin confirmed Tuesday that illegal immigrants granted amnesty from deportation under Obama's new policies would be able to get extra refunds from the IRS for money they earned while working illegally, as long as they filed returns during those years. It's an ice cream headache, folks. It's an ice cream headache. It says illegal immigrants who are granted the amnesty will be given official Social Security numbers, which means that they can go back and amend up to 3 years of their previous tax forms to claim the Earned Income Tax Credit, potentially claiming billions of dollars in additional payments they were ineligible before the amnesty. You have got to be kidding me. Seriously. While Americans are struggling, many unable to find employment, others taxed enough already, the IRS, with the blessing of this administration, wants to give illegal aliens extra tax refunds. Apparently, helping the middle class, as Epic Failure proclaims, is only if you are an illegal alien taking the jobs an American should have. And while you wait for your refund, because the IRS says it may be delayed in getting the money out to you, that is, if you don't end up paying more, rest assured that the illegals are getting their extra refunds. This is aiding and abetting illegal activity, and it is grounds for removal from his office. It is illegal to be employed in this country if you are here illegally. And we're going to let them go back for 3 years? They're not supposed to be working to begin with. Again, it is illegal to be employed in this country if you are here illegally. And no executive fiat can change that law. And yet, those who spit on the rule of law are going to get extra refunds. The IRS has come down to this. It is nothing more than a collection theft agency for the lawless, progressive left, and it should be torn down. Obama should be removed from office for aiding and abetting. Now, if you want to see what's really happening, there is a 6-minute video that you really should see this, really. The IRS knows that illegal aliens are filing for children in Mexico that may or may not even exist. We don't even know. And it's costing the American taxpayer over $4 billion with a B dollars a year. This is utterly insane. It's mind-boggling. Go to this site. The site is TomFernandez28.com. I have it posted at my website, mincerproject.com. We are going to be having our own pages at CPR, and I will post it there as well. But it's a 6-minute video. It says, watch illegals claim billions. Punch that in and watch 6 minutes to drive yourself mad. This is insane. I have a message to Obama. Hey, Obama, instead of taxing more, how about trying something new instead? Like, enforcing our immigration laws. You will gain an estimated $4.2 billion or more a year just with what you save with the IRS refunds alone. This is so asinine. I cannot believe what we are watching, folks. This is so lawless. And while the American struggles, the illegal alien is getting more money back, claiming dependents in Mexico that we don't even know exist. One trailer had 20 children registered at that address. One child lives there. One. Go watch the video. Moving on. From CIS.org, Jessica Vaughn. Government data reveals that about 5.5 million new work permits were issued to aliens from 2009 to 2014, above and beyond the number of new green cards and temporary worker admissions in those years. This is a huge parallel immigrant work authorization system outside the limits set by Congress that inevitably impacts opportunities for the U.S. workers, damages the integrity of the immigration system, and encourages illegal immigration. Here are the numbers for you. Approximately 1.8 million new work permits were issued to aliens with temporary visas who entered under a visa waiver program. An additional 963,000 new work permits were issued to aliens who had been granted permanent status or have a status that will lead to a green card. These are primarily refugees. About 982,000 new work permits were issued in this time period to illegal aliens or aliens unqualified for admission. Of these, 957,000 were aliens who crossed the border illegally. Oh my God. 1,200 permits were issued to aliens who were denied asylum, suspected of using fraudulent documents, were stowaways, or were refused at a port of entry. A huge number of work permits, 1.7, were issued to aliens whose status was unknown, not recorded or disclosed by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. This is, Obama, in his I am king wisdom, is violating the law, and he has been, per this report, since 2009. He is aiding, folks, he is aiding and abetting illegal aliens and ignoring the laws on the books that he must follow, enforce, and abide by. This is just yet another ground for removal from office. If only we had somebody that would stand up to this lawless man. For each of you who are sitting there still trying to find employment, where is the outrage? 5.5 million work permits to aliens, taking jobs from Americans. What is it going to take for the masses to unite? And is there anybody that will lead our way? Jeez. Mind-boggling. Moving on. Here is a quick rundown for you. A quick rundown on the DH funding bill without amnesty and where it stands. This is from the Washington AP, and the title is Congress Stuck on Homeland Security Funding, Immigration. A congressional stalemate over funding for the Homeland Security Department deepened Thursday as Senate Democrats blocked action on the bill for the third straight day to protest Republican language on immigration. The vote was 52 to 47, 8 short of the 60 needed to move ahead. Two procedural votes earlier in the week yielded similar outcomes. You know, folks, call your representatives, GOP, Republican, Democrat alike, and make your voices heard. Now, I did write a piece on this, and it's out there. It's on my website at minsterproject.com. It's at the Ruthie Report on Facebook. I just want to share just a few portions of it with you for tonight because of the time constraints. My title is Democrats Holding Our Homeland Security Hostage for Illegal Aliens. Obama, the Democratic Party, and a few Republicans are holding the funding of the Department of Homeland Security hostage, putting each and every one of us in danger, all for illegal aliens. While the Democratic Party has already started in with the blame game that they are very good at, making statements such as the Republican Party is to blame for the lack of a funding bill for our homeland, the Republicans seem dumbfounded to have a clear narrative in return. So let me provide them with one, and I quote, "Now is not the time to mess with what homeland security we do have. Pass the House bill and fund DHS without amnesty and secure the border. If amnesty is more important to Obama than our security, let him veto it. DHS could easily be funded without the amnesty directive, effectively postponing the discussion and debate for another day. But instead, we see the partisan lines drawn in the sand at our nation's expense. Congress, do your duty now. Democrats and Republicans alike, fund the Department of Homeland Security without amnesty. The only reason this is being rushed the way it is because Obama wants it that way. This is ridiculous. You mean to tell me we really aren't going to fund, or we're going to put on the plate not funding Homeland Security because temper tantrum child Obama wants his amnesty and we can't talk about that at a different time? Are you serious? Maybe you didn't see a guy in a cage a couple of days ago. Good Lord. Political has an article outdated the 3rd where Ted Cruz is demanding that Republicans block the nomination of Loretta Lynch as Attorney General until President Barack Obama relents on his immigration policies. We'll have to watch and see how that plays out. And then last but not least here, there is this ongoing debate about the measles. I don't know if I'm even going to read it to you. Representative Mo Brooks has made a claim during an interview on a radio host with Matt Murphy that let's see how I'll just read his quote. He said, quote unquote, "I don't think that there is any healthcare professional who has examined the facts who could honestly say that Americans have not died because the disease is brought into America by illegal aliens who are not properly healthcare screened as lawful immigrants." He said it might be the enterovirus that has a heavy presence in Central and South America that has caused death of American children over the past 6 to 9 months. It might be these measles outbreaks. There are a number of things, he added. He said and he goes on to say, you've got to have sympathy for the illegal alien child that is burdened with this disease. But you also have to do what you can do to protect American children from the suffering and sometimes death associated with this disease. What he is talking about is the measles. And of course, right now, the outbreak has ignited this national debate over vaccines and vaccinations. Every time I hear it, I've gotten to the point where I just put mute on. I can't stand it anymore. But I want you to know that Mo Brooks is out there putting it on the line. Debating vaccines was the only way that they could go with this whole debacle to avoid the issue of illegal immigration and its involvement. That's what else could you say? Apparently the message now is bad choices in parenting by Americans, ignoring the entire invasion. They just can't have that. So what do? They're blaming parents for not vaccinating their children. But not a word is uttered that we have 102 cases of measles reported in 14 states in 1 month. It's just, it's an insult to our intelligence. We're going to take a break. Station identification. When we come back, we will have tonight's Criminally and or Insane segment. You have to hear what they are doing to Border Patrol and their weaponry. It is unbelievable. Please stay tuned. We will be right back.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
You know what happens when we take away the late fees and penalty rate? No one misses them. The City Simplicity card is the only card that never has late fees, a penalty rate, or an annual fee. Ever. Go to city.com/simplicity to apply.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown.
This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here. We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. Thank you very much for tuning in. Before we get to Criminally and or Insane, I just want to thank each and every one of you for continuing to tune into the Ruthie Report. I hope that in some way I am helping to keep you educated, activated, and motivated. And thank you. You know, we forget to say that to the listeners every once in a while. So let's get right to it. This is Criminally and or Insane, and I'm going to give you the insane winner of the week right off the get-go. This has appeared in my local newspaper, and what was the date here? The 2nd. It's just a little blurb at the bottom of the page. It says, man arrested by Washington AP. Man arrested outside the White House grounds. The Secret Service has arrested a man who climbed a bicycle rack outside the White House grounds on Sunday. And he's been charged with unlawful entry. You have got to be kidding me. Arrested for unlawful entry. Are you kidding? Oh, you know, golly gee, seeing it's Obama, I suppose then enforcing the laws must be okay. You know, I don't know, what are we, chopped liver? Only with the leadership we have today could one man be arrested for unlawful entry because it was at the White House, while we have millions in our midst who are guilty and of committing the same crime, unlawful entry, with more entering illegally every single day. The hypocrisy of this administration is, it's just unbelievable. Hey, Obama, I tell you what, tear down that fence. Let them live with you and the family in the White House. You have no problems allowing them to live with us. Let them live with you too. You know, it's just so ridiculous. And the whole thing, the reason that he gets the insane winner of the week is because he was arrested for unlawful entry, while Obama's, you know, in your face inviting dreamers to the White House, and the Democrats can't understand how to fund Department of Homeland Security without amnesty. Oh, good grief. Smarter than a 5th grader, really? Ugh. Moving on. Before we went to break, I told you I was going to share with you an article with the Border Patrol and their weaponry. This should anger you. It really should. This is from Fox News, dated the 3rd. The title is Border Patrol Agents Say Gun Sharing is Putting Lives at Risk. What I'm talking about is this. Guns are in such short supply at the Border Patrol that one agent told FoxNews.com 400 agents share 100 rifles at his station. The lack of weapons is more than just a nuisance, according to law enforcement authorities, who say each agent should be able to calibrate his or her gun to individual preferences, called zeroing. If it says, quote unquote, we are left to check out rifles that were unzeroed to us, the Border Patrol agent told Fox News. This practice needs to be outlawed, as it could cost someone their life. In the year of 2015, we shouldn't be talking about using pool rifles, end quote. The situation recently became more aggravated as the Border Patrol has gone through its arsenal and weeded out more than 2,000 M4 carbine rifles that they said had the potential to malfunction. One agent said that in his station, fewer than 100 rifles are now shared by those 400 agents. One agent said that he thought the current situation exposed the Border Patrol to more liability. He said, quote unquote, what happens when an agent shoots the wrong alien or smuggler or, God forbid, another agent because the gun sights are so far off? He said, my hope is that that practice will be blacklisted and outlawed, that no other agent or officer will have to gamble with their life based on how some other random individual treated that weapon system, end quote. Excuse me. My thoughts. This is criminal. The agency that he was talking about is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and they are playing with the lives of our brave men and women on the front lines, and it must stop immediately. Immediately. You know, we can arm contingency groups, terrorists, or other warring fractions around the globe, but we cannot arm our own? Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. Here's a thought. Maybe, just maybe, Eric Holder could do another version of Fast and Furious, only this time the American version, and armed border patrol instead of the Mexican drug cartels. How about that? Meanwhile, if that isn't enough to get you, DHS is saying this. It's posted by teaparty.org, dated yesterday the 4th. The title, DHS Secretary threatens U.S. sheriffs. Obama will cut their grants if Congress does not fund amnesty. I kid you not. This is Gateway Pundit also has this. It says, the Department of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, threatened U.S. sheriffs today. Johnson told the sheriffs that they will not receive federal grants they are counting on if the Republican Congress does not fund amnesty. Sheriff Justin Smith from Laramie County, Colorado, posted this on his Facebook page, and I quote, I received a very interesting veiled letter from Jay Johnson, the Secretary of Homeland Security, addressed to all police chiefs and sheriffs around the country. His letter made it clear that if Congress didn't send President Obama the DH funding bill that he wanted, rubber stamping the president's executive amnesty, local and state public safety agencies would not receive federal grants they were counting on because the president would veto the funding bill. End quote. TeaParty.org concludes with this. Let me get this straight. The president believes that he has the authority to nullify federal law that don't serve his personal agenda. But if Congress dares to exercise its responsibility of controlling the purse strings, he will willingly hold public safety grants hostage just to get his way. Mr. President and Mr. Johnson, please show some integrity and stop with the threats. Sheriffs don't take kindly to them. End of article. You know, when I posted this out on Facebook, and I read several comments saying that we should just get rid of Homeland Security altogether, to which I have to disagree to a certain point. I believe we do need Homeland Security, but what we have is not it, clearly. You cannot have millions of illegal aliens in the country, have more who we know nothing about entering at will every day, or have children, some 30 years of age and older, at the tune of 60,000 plus, just walking into the country, and believe that we have anything that resembles real border security and homeland security. Republicans and Democrats who get it, stand your ground. If Obama and Jay Johnson want to play this game, allow them to do so. It will not take long for the citizenry to get the picture. Illegal aliens and amnesty apparently is more important to Obama than we the people. That is the message they will get. Obama is playing bluff, and all of these people are falling under it and swallowing it hook, line, and sinker. If the Department of Homeland Security, if Obama really wouldn't fund our sheriffs and our local law enforcement, the citizenry will know. Fund the Department of Homeland Security without the amnesty, and then we can start addressing where that has gone wrong. All right, next. I told you a lot about this story when it happened. This was the two officers, may they rest in peace, Danny Oliver and Michael Davis Jr., the husband and wife that were arrested for their murders. This happened 20 hours ago in Sacramento, California. It's reported by the AP. Says a man charged with killing two Northern California sheriff's deputies stunned a courtroom on Wednesday by blurting out that he committed the crimes and is ready to be executed. He said, "I did kill those cops. You can execute me whenever you're ready," said Luis Enrique Monroe Barcomanes at the end of the hearing as he was led from the Sacramento courtroom in chains. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for the Utah man who is charged with killing two deputies during an hours-long rampage in October that also left another motorist and another deputy wounded. His wife, Janelle, is also charged but does not face the death penalty. She sat quietly during the 20-minute proceeding, sometimes resting her chin on her fist, apparently bored. Bracamontes was adamant, even turning his head to address speculators as he was being handcuffed to leave the room. He said, I did it. I just want to plead guilty and get to the execution," he said, as his attorney stood by. "I did it. Everything." End quote. Him and his wife are both charged with the murders in the slayings of Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Danny Oliver and Placer County Sheriff's Detective Michael Davis Jr. Of course, Barcomantes is a Mexican national with a long criminal history who has been deported several times and was in the country illegally at the time of the slayings. The suspects are due back in court on March 27th for a status conference. Only comment, grant him his wish. Enough said. Moving on. It just never seems to get any better, folks. This is from the Washington Times, dated January 3rd, in case you had not heard about this. Illegal immigrants released from custody committed 1,000 new crimes. 1,000 of the 36,007 illegal immigrant criminals the government released in 2013 have gone on to commit other crimes, including sex abuse, child sex abuse, hit and run, and child cruelty, according to the new data. The information which the Department of Homeland Security provided to Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley details all 1,000 convictions, including dozens of drunk driving convictions, drug offenses, and weapons convictions. But the more serious crimes include domestic abuse, carjacking, and aggravated assault. One of the illegal immigrants identified as number 960 was subsequently convicted of inflicting injury on a domestic partner, child cruelty with the possibility of injury or death, probation violations, speeding, driving without a license, and failing to appear in court. The Obama administration claims that it is using prosecutorial discretion to prioritize the removal of criminal aliens from this country. But this report shows the disturbing truth. 1,000 undocumented aliens previously convicted of crimes who the administration released in 2013 have gone on to commit further crimes in our community, Grassley said. The 1,000 are in the data were part of the, as I said at the beginning, 36,700 criminals that the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement had been holding but decided to release. Now, what they say is, and here, I did want to read this. I wanted to share this too. Those illegal immigrants have amassed nearly 88,000 convictions among them, including 193 homicides, 426 sexual assault convictions, 303 kidnapping convictions, and 16,070 drunken or drugged driving convictions. Now, those numbers are from the original 36,007 illegal aliens. What's happening is that government says they had to release them because their home country will not take them back. Grassley has introduced a bill to change the law and overturn this court decision that says they have to be released. And if you want to look up that that whole topic of countries that won't take them back, there's an excellent book called The Deporter. It's by Ames Holbrook, if you want to look that up. You know, my thoughts on this real quick. Obama's priority list for illegal aliens is wrong. And it's costing people their safety and their security. There should be no priority list, period. If you are in the country illegally, go home. How much simpler can we make this? Return legally at the back of the line, screened and documented. You know, when I was reading this, what popped in my head was this. I wonder what epic failure himself, Obama, what his response would be if anyone would confront him on the human costs of his priority list. What would he say? What would he say to these people who have been the victims of another 1,000 crimes? Too bad we don't have anybody with enough balls to ask him. Moving on. Let's see, how do we got? We have 8 minutes here. Okay. Before we take our second break and are joined by our guest this evening, Rusty Fleming. This is from cnsnews.com. Excuse me, frog in my throat. It's dated the 3rd. Speaking before the House Judiciary Committee on the issue of illegal immigration, Sheriff Paul Babu of Pinal County, Arizona, said that up to 30% of the roughly 120,000 illegal aliens apprehended every year at the southwest U.S. border around his county have some kind of criminal record in the United States, adding that the border is not more secure than ever, as President Barack Obama has stated. He said the situation is so lawless in some areas that it is like a war zone on American soil, where local law enforcement is leading the effort to fight criminal syndicates from a foreign nation. According to Babu, between 88,000 and 123,000 illegal aliens are apprehended each year at the Tucson sector, one of the 9 Border Patrol stations along the U.S.-Mexican border. Among those illegal aliens, between 17 to 30% of them have a criminal record in the country, in this country. He said he detailed the drug running and smuggling operations that have become more and more prevalent in his county. In one day alone, he said, law enforcement officials arrested 78 members of a notorious cartel and seized 108 illegal weapons, all during a single drug bust. He said these are not just your regular handguns. These are scoped rifles and AK-47s, 2 of which were traced back to the Fast and Furious operation. This is in my county, he said. At one point in 2013, around 400 illegal alien criminals were set free from local jails and back into Pinal County. Another 30 to 50 illegal alien criminals are released every day, Babu said to Congress. When he asked for more information regarding these individuals and their criminal history, the federal government refused and continues to refuse to give it to him. He said, quote unquote, "I, as the sheriff, who swore an oath to protect the people of my county, should have the right to that information. I would urge this Congress to stand up as a law-making body to enforce the laws, just as you expect me and every other law enforcement officer locally to do, and secure the border." End of article. You know, what else can you say to it? And yet our border is unsecured and the pandering political games continue. We have sheriffs testifying. And what do we see in Washington, D.C.? Obama having a temper tantrum and the Democrats holding funding for the Homeland Security hostage because they want amnesty. Never in a million. You know, if these were my children and they were fighting over something, and just name something else, put something else in there, and my 3 kids were fighting like this, I'd put them all in timeout until they could grow up. Oh, good Lord. Of course, my kids are all grown up now, but moving on. We have just a little time here. We'll get to all of these really quick here. First, as you know, each month I share with you NC Fire's monthly report on child sexual assaults. All in 1 month, all in one state, all at the hands of illegal aliens. This month's report for January is out, and James Johnson reports this. Illegal alien child rapers had a field day in our state's on our state's children in January. 94 individuals amassed 518 separate charges of child rape for the month. 94 individuals, all illegal aliens, sexually assaulted a child in North Carolina. Every month, he said, it just keeps getting worse. So for those of you that would like to look this up and read it for yourselves, please go to ncfire.info. They have it in a PDF form right there on their website. He finishes with, the worst part of it is, every one of these was 100% preventable. Please do pull it up and look for yourself. All right, this is from universalfreepress.com by Dave Gibson, dated the 30th. We're going to end with this one. We might get to this traffic stop, but this blows my mind. I couldn't believe it. This is out of Leesburg, Virginia. On Thursday, Hugo Olavis Sanchez, 32, was sentenced by Judge Benjamin Kendrick in Landau County Circuit Court to 9 years in prison for molesting a 13-year-old child. In October of 2014, the illegal alien entered an Alford plea on all 3 counts of indecent liberties with a child. With an Alford plea, the defendant does not have to admit any guilt, but simply acknowledges that there is sufficient evidence to convict him. That in itself is utter nonsense to me, but okay. In May, when he was arrested, he was originally charged with 3 counts of aggravated sexual battery and 1 count of sodomy. Sanchez forced the girl to give him a massage, then pressed her hands against his genitals and ended up finally sodomizing the child, according to court documents. The victim, now 14, testified against her attacker. That's got to take guts, boy. Said, "The things that happened to me are hard to forget. I know because I've tried. I'm still scared and cautious of everything. No kid should have to be afraid of what I've been through." But here's what blew my mind, folks. Get a load of this. Upon hearing that he would face deportation, just one moment here, folks. Upon hearing that he would face deportation back to Mexico after completing his prison sentence, Sanchez told the judge it would be a devastating experience. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! He sodomizes a 13-year-old, and when he learns he might be deported back to his loved Mexico, he says that would be a devastating experience. Oh my God! I am not speechless for a reply. I'm not. But maybe the best thing is just to move on here. A devastating experience. You have got to be kidding me. I cannot believe he actually said that. We are going to take our second break. When we come back, we will be joined by our guest, Rusty Fleming. Please stay tuned.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up, and helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown.
This is only the beginning. Black Hat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. As you know now, that signals our guest for this evening, Rusty Fleming. Are you with us, Rusty?
I am.
Hello, sir. I'm sorry about that. I hit the wrong button before, and I was hoping I could get you back on. For those that are just first joining the program now, Rusty Fleming is the Public Information Officer for Hudspeth County Sheriff's Office in Texas, an award-winning producer, director, author, and consultant for 25 years. He has started a multimedia company to produce corporate industrial films, commercials, and new segments. He is recognized by Ruthie and the national media and law enforcement agencies as an expert on border security and the Mexican drug cartels. Welcome to the program, sir.
Well, thank you. I enjoy doing your show every month.
Well, thank you. How's the family?
Everybody's good.
Well, you tell them hi. I'm sure they're probably tuned in. Hi, Ma, Grandma, all of you, Mrs., the whole 9 yards. But, all right, so, Rusty, I'm just going to kind of highlight real quickly here what I plan on discussing with you this evening for those that might be just first tuning in, and then we can jump right in. What I want to speak with Rusty tonight about is the out-of-control warring that, again, is going on in Mexico, just miles from our southern border. And I had asked Rusty if he would have the opportunity, which I do not know if he did or not, but we will discuss it anyway, the new orders by Epic Failure to our brave men and women of Border Patrol, and how demoralizing this must be for them. So, do you have a spot where you would like to start?
Well, we can start with the cartel war.
Okay. I have two articles on that, so if you want to go ahead and just kind of fill people in, and then I'll share some of the information I have.
No, I think you go ahead.
Okay.
And I'll fill in the blanks.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, because nobody does know. You know, Rusty, it just kills me tonight. Greta is talking about the two volcanoes in Mexico that are erupting down by Mexico City, South Mexico. But nobody has said a word about this. Massive gun battles between the factions of the Mexican Gulf Cartel in the cities south of the Texas border have turned the region into a war zone. The fighting has led to blockades, rolling firefights, and total chaos that has brought the daily activities of cities to a halt as residents seek refuge from the fighting. This is by Breitbart, and it's dated the 3rd. It says the mayor there, first it says the U.S. consulate in Matamoros issued a series of warnings throughout the day given the locations of the shootouts, and which were on a large scale considered gun battles. The mayor herself of Matamoros took to social media and warned the residents about the series of shootouts, but she communicated that the federal security forces are working in a coordinated effort to restore order. Now, before Rusty jumps in here, then the very next day, Breitbart, dated the 4th, has reported, confirmed, 14 dead in cartel war raging at Texas border. For 3 days it's been going on in the cities, and it has turned a number of cities just south of the Texas border into war zones. It said 14 are dead. It says that there was a shootout. This part just left me pondering many things, but it says, in the previous shootouts from Sunday, the Thermopolis government only confirmed that along the highway that connects with Valle Hermoso and Matamoros, a convoy of Mexican Marines came under fire from a group of cartel members in a 2013 Ford pickup that had Texas license plates. Oh my God! The Marines fought off the attack, killing 3 gunmen inside the pickup. And they seized a grenade launcher, a .50 caliber rifle, 4 assault rifles, a submachine gun, and 40 ammunition magazines. All right, Rusty, you take it from there, because I just cannot believe that we are sitting here talking about vaccinations and volcanoes, and not a damn mainstream media source is informing the people that just miles over our southern border, all-out hell has broke loose yet again.
Well, a little context here to describe what's going on. You have to go back to my first point that I ever made was the peace along the border is dictated by the cartels, not by law enforcement. And when it's peaceful, it's because the cartels choose to be peaceful.
Yep. Now, I just got to stop. I just got to stop you for a second. Did you see the announcement for tonight's program?
Yes.
Okay, because I put that right in there, as Rusty has stated.
I was just making that point. Okay, but here's the deal: you've got 5 factions that are warring over the border. The border is the most valuable piece of real estate that there is to the drug world. And it's the gateway, obviously, to get their product into the U.S. and sell it. So any border town is subject to deal with this issue. What you've got in Tamaulipas, which is a state that borders Texas, in Matamoros, Reynosa, Nuevo Laredo, that was historically belonged to the Gulf Cartel. When Octiel Cardenas was extradited into the U.S. in January of 2007, the Zetas pretty much took over because they were the muscle for the Gulf Cartel. And then, after a few years of learning the Gulf operation, they basically just took over the Gulf Cartel. What you've got is now the Gulf Cartel is warring against the Zetas, trying to regain their, what they call the plaza, which is simply each town that borders the country that they want to take over from the Zetas. Now, a couple of things that haven't really been in the news lately. One is just outside of Nuevo Laredo, just a little bit south, Mexican Marines busted a factory. It was supposed to be manufacturing, I think, baby milk or powdered baby milk or something. But what they found inside was 30 narco tanks. These are self-made tanks out of 1-ton pickups, or maybe it's a 5-ton pickup, or a small dump truck, and they armor plate these things to be a rolling tank. They found 30 total units, 20 of which were already outfitted. And this is obviously for use in Mexico. They'd never get by with it here in the U.S. But that kind of gives you a glimpse into how serious they are about this war. The next thing is you've got different cartels in different parts of the border. Like I said, you got the Gulf Cartel warring against the Zetas. Over in my part of the world, out in West Texas, whereas in El Paso, you've got what's left of the Sinaloa cartel, because that cartel is breaking up ever since Guzman was arrested. He was the head of the cartel, and he was arrested in Mexico. And that cartel is breaking up. And there are actually 2 cartels warring against them. It's remnants of the old Juarez cartel. It's a group called La Línea, and supported by the Barrio Aztecas, and along with what we call the BLO, which is the Beltran Leyva organization. They're having to fight all three of those organizations right now. And so, the whole is kind of a mess is really what it boils down to. And, it's evident fact that there are three Mexican states. You got Michoacan, you've got Tamaulipas, and Sinaloa. And all three of those are big Sinaloa strongholds. And right now, that's where you're seeing all the violence in those. I'm sorry, not Tamaulipas, Guerrero, Michoacan, and Sinaloa. That's the three. Anyway, those states are under chaos right now. You can go to Acapulco, and it's a fairly dangerous place right now. And I always advise my friends and family, if you're going to go to Mexico, stay at the resort. Don't even leave.
I always advise my friends, family, and fellow Americans, don't go to Mexico, period.
Well, I get that.
I know you and I differ on this a little bit, but it's not even safe. I mean, we've got travel warnings by our own government about going to Mexico, Rusty. Why would anybody want to go to Mexico now? Can we not find any place in your own country to go and visit until something, until this is addressed and Americans?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm saying that the resorts. I mean, we've never had a cartel bust into a resort and kill somebody. It happens usually by chance. And that is, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's very rare that an American gets killed down there. Yep. And that's just the simple truth of it. But anyway, you've got to recognize that, first of all, these cartels are not the drug cartels of the 90s. Those organizations don't exist anymore. These guys are run by very intelligent men that have surrounded themselves with the right people. That means foot soldiers, that means lawyers, that means accountants, everything it takes to run a Fortune 500 company they have. So these guys are going at war a little differently than they used to in the past. They're going to use technology, they're going to use misinformation, counterintelligence, and they're really good at this stuff. They've even gotten good at it here in Texas. And when I mean very good, they have in the past been able to detect some of our most classified operations on this side of the border before we ever deployed it, and managed to stay away from it. That's how wired up they are.
Well, what is the deal here with the license plate that the Marines fought off, killing 3 gunmen inside a pickup truck that had Texas license plates? So
that's not a rarity.
Am I to assume that these cars?
That's every day. I mean, there are a lot of U.S. plated vehicles in Mexico, especially on the border.
Yeah,
so
I suppose
that is not that. I mean, that's very common down there.
But am I to assume that some of these cartel members that are warring with the other cartel members are most likely living in Texas, have Texas license plates, and then are going back to Mexico to fight?
Sure. That happens all the time.
Kind of sounds like terrorists in the United States returning to their homeland.
Right.
My point is taken.
They got their wife and family over in Texas where they're safer, and they cross the bridge to go make war. and really, because that's where the stronghold is. If you can how do I say, hold and maintain a port of entry along the border, you can pretty much push anything you want to through it. We always say, I hear people all the time talk about securing the border, and I get that, okay? But if you're just looking to do the drugs, only about 20% of the drugs coming into the country come through the gaps in the desert. 80% of the illicit narcotics coming into the U.S. are coming across on those legitimate ports of entry.
Yep.
On trucks, trailers, cars, being walked over by people. It's crazy. And if we're going to secure the border, we've got to deal with those ports of entry first, because all that's going to happen is if we just built a 2,000-mile fence, these guys they'll have that clocked before the first bucket of cement shows up. And, they're that good. They really are. And it's a problem. There is no doubt about it. It is an issue.
And I always think, we're talking about now because we can't go back, and I understand that. But, gee, wouldn't it have been nice if, like, say, let's pick a year, 1986 maybe, all of the promises that were made were kept then, maybe we would not be in the dire straits, what I consider dire straits that we are in now. I really do. The violence, let me ask it a different way before I just kind of get on another soapbox here. Besides the obvious, of spillover violence, what does this or does it not really have any effect on the United States? Because as you say, and you've informed the listeners before, there'll be laws of peace, and then there'll be laws of warring and laws of peace, and then they go back to warring, and it just takes the wrong statement by the wrong person to start it all up again. But besides the obvious of spillover violence, does the current escalation between the cartels mean anything one way or the other to the United States?
Well, sure it does. And it affects everything on this side of the border. You look at Chicago, for instance. You've got federal agents that call that a border town now. And what happens in Mexico is affecting what happens in places like Chicago within days, because what they're doing is they're interrupting the supply chain. For instance, the Sinaloa cartel runs the majority of Chicago as far as drugs are concerned. And when you've got the Sinaloa cartel being attacked in Mexico, that's going to cut the supply of dope off. These people are going to find a way to get drugs in there because they can sell it. So they're going to partner up with another cartel. That's only going to damage the Sinaloa cartel even more.
Well, then the Sinaloa cartel must be just pretty fire-ass mad because the Chicago, and I don't know if you've heard this, Rusty, and I saved it to share with the listeners now with you. Out of the Chicago Sun-Times, this is unbelievable. Police recovered 119 pounds of cocaine in a traffic stop in Humboldt Park in Chicago. It is estimated at, what did it say here? Let me get it exactly correct. This Juan Roberto Vesquez, 28, was, they saw him put suitcases in his car. They followed him. He got pulled over for a traffic stop, took him to the police station, found out that he couldn't produce a driver's license. Police then found 90 bricks-shaped objects in the suitcase containing 54,000 grams of cocaine valued at $6.75 million. And this was on January 31st.
Yeah.
A week ago. I bet the Sinaloa cartel is not very happy right now.
Well, that's actually a very small load for them.
6 million?
Be that as it may, it's still money. They import tons of this stuff on a weekly basis. So anyway, where I was going with all that is, another effect that the cartels are having is we are estimating that about a third, 30% of the people that are crossing the border today all have criminal records that would preclude them from coming through a legitimate port of entry. Sheriff Babu from Pinal County down in Arizona.
Yep, I shared that right before you came on. Yep.
He just testified at a congressional hearing. I want to think it was a couple of days ago. And he said that the flow of dope and the flow of people has never been so high in his county. And there are parts of his county that are absolutely dangerous to even be on in daylight.
Yep, he said some of them are war zones.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty, the obvious question here, I shared this with Bab about Sheriff Babu and all of these, and you and I are having this discussion about the cartels having gun battles in the streets just over our southern unsecured border. You and I can educate the listeners as much as we possibly can, but if you know this and I know this and now the listeners know this, you know that the people in Washington D.C. are non-representing right now representatives. They all have to know what's going on. Why? Why something isn't being done. Sooner or later that violence, and I know that you and I kind of differ on that a little bit. That this will kind of stay in Mexico, that they wouldn't bring that here. I'm not so sure. I really am not. The spillover violence...
It's not necessarily that they don't bring the violence with them. They just operate differently on the U.S. side than they do Mexico. They can't be nearly as brazen and wide open as they can in Mexico. It's like those narco tanks. That would never fly in the U.S. Never. There'd never be a time where it'd be okay to have one of those with a 50 caliber machine gun mounted on it. They're very obvious. And some of the other things that they do.
No,
be that as it may, I use Chicago a lot for my example because there is the violence and the murder rate has jumped about 300% in the last 2 years. And it's all from cartels and gangs.
Yep. And I don't know if any of you are listening from Chicago or have been there, but you can go where Elvira Arellano was hiding out, and it is Little Mexico. I kid you not. I was there. I saw with my own eyes. It's unbelievable, and that was years ago already. Before we move on with this, these tanks or these vehicles that you are talking about with the 50 caliber on them, what did you call them?
Narco tanks.
Narco tanks. So what you're telling me is that the cartels are actually making their own tanks in these facilities. They had 30 of them and 20 of them were already done. So is this one cartel that is making all of these tanks?
No, and they've been doing it for years. Back in 2006, when I was producing Drug Wars, the documentary that I made, the first documentary I made about the cartels, they were building them back then, and they weren't nearly as prevalent as they seem to be now. But I was along with the Mexican Army when they raided a warehouse, and there was 2 of them inside. And like I said, it's been going on for years. They've just gotten better at it.
So I have a visual of this, and I can't seem to get past this. So I want to learn this. I want to know.
Just Google it. You'll get a picture of it right away.
So now, in this warehouse, were 30 of them, 20 of them complete, and is this one guy making them and he sells them to the cartels? Is just every damn cartel down there is building these things, and on the streets you're going to have all-out warfare with tanks and 50 cals?
Well, it's not a business. There's not a guy out there or guys out there that are building these and selling them to the cartels. The cartel is building their own, and it's practically every one. I don't recall what cartel. I want to assume that it was the Zetas that were building those in the baby food factory or wherever that was. But the Mexican Marines confiscated them, and they have started dismantling them, and they're going to destroy them. Basically because in Mexico, the Marines are the only force that's left that has not been corrupted. And that's why you always see where all the big raids and all the important targets, the high-value targets that they seize, are coming from the Mexican Marines. And they do that with intelligence coming from the U.S., and they use the Marines on the ground in Mexico. And that's how they're affecting these high-value targets.
Where are they getting all these 50 cals from?
They can get those anywhere. They're like candy. Central America is a big supplier of military arms for the cartels. I was in 2010, I believe it was. I went to Guatemala, and I was doing a documentary about weapons coming across the border. It's called Gun Running for the Cartels. Anyway, I met up with a guy that runs a black market arms warehouse, and you literally could not see completely across it. And the walls were stacked with RPGs, 50 cals, sniper rifles, AKs, AR-15s, you name it. And they had it. Stinger missiles, they had it all. And, he says his biggest customer is one of the cartels. And, the Zetas to be exact. And, that was about the time when Hillary and Obama came on the air and said 90% of the weapons that the cartels use are coming from the U.S. Well, that's 90% bullshit. I'm sorry, BS.
Yeah, bullshit is fine. Yeah, okay. It is.
And I went down there. I was asked if I could, test that theory, and I said yeah. And so I went down there, and I after about a week of working to get inside this guy's operation, I rode in the trunk of a car for an hour and a half to get to the guy. And, it was pretty amazing. It really is. So, the way that works is, of course, if I'm running a cell, say, for the Sinaloa cartel, and I'm located in Juarez, why wouldn't I go across the bridge to get a gun? Of course I would. But the thing is, why would they want to pay, $800 for an AK or an AR when they can have them delivered for $150 out of Central America?
Exactly.
And that's the reality of it.
Well, and I don't know how many Americans that go to a gun show and getting purchase a grenade launcher, but I don't know any.
No, like I said, the military grade weapons are not coming from the U.S.
Okay.
Not that they haven't tried, because about a year ago, in Fort Bliss, which is located in El Paso, one of the top guys that housed and secured the arms for that base was found to be selling weapons to the cartel. And they busted him when he tried to ship them like 1,000 hand grenades or something like that, 500 hand grenades. And they finally busted the guy. But they do try that. I mean, obviously they're gonna do anything they can.
And then this administration, this government, even governments of the past, cannot understand why we are seriously worried about the southern border and the lack of security we have when the firepower that you are mentioning, and then throw on top of that, they want to take our guns away. These people in Washington, D.C. are insane. Now, Rusty, we have to take our second quick 3-minute break here, but we're talking about the weaponry. When we come back, what I'd like to talk about is I suggested that Eric Holder have another Fast and Furious, only this time try the American style instead, and let's actually arm our Border Patrol. Instead of 100 rifles for 400 Border Patrol men, but just kind of where we're going to go with this when we get back, and the new orders that Obama wants our Border Patrol to do. But right going into this break, on this current subject of the warring cartels, I just, and I know the answer to the question, but I just find it so unbelievable, Rusty, that we can watch car chases going down some LA freeway for 15 minutes, or we can watch volcanoes, or we can talk about vaccinations until I'm about blue in the face, but we hear nothing about this in the mainstream media. This is miles from U.S. territory. People are dying. They're fighting in the streets, and we hear nothing.
Well, it's
nothing.
Same old. It's been going on like that for years.
I suppose they couldn't just report on it all the time because it would be a daily occurrence, huh? Like you said, the cartels are all big buddies when it's in their interest to do so, and as soon as it's not, and what I thought of is, because I do really learn from you, Rusty, what I thought of is that now and this is my premise thought from what you've taught me, now they're back to warring again because the child smuggling is decreased. Now it's not, we're going to put the drugs on one side and the smuggling on the other, and seeing that we don't have them all coming through in hordes right now, well, now they're just going back to daily business of killing each other.
Well, I don't know that I could make that connection that it's tied into the child smuggling. I definitely,
well, they're not as active
that they're fighting for turf.
Yep, and it's for the drugs.
Right. It's a war for drugs, not against drugs.
Yeah. So now, instead of being preoccupied with all those children that they were making money off and, skiing them across the lake and everything else, well, now that's slowed down, now they're concentrating more on the drugs again, and here we go.
Now, that definitely had an effect on, because smuggling is still a $1 billion a year business. And I'm talking about smuggling humans. That goes a long way amongst 5 organizations. That's $200 million apiece.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. I'm sorry we do have to take this quick break, but you'll stay tuned. Hang in there for a second, Rusty, and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, folks, just one moment. We're going to take a station identification break. We will be right back.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
When I'm training, I always listen to music. For the gym, it's hip-hop. For cross-country, classical. And for jumps, I need something special. So I use my Citi Thank You Visa card for music downloads and earn 2 times the points. Plus, a little extra inspiration.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
The Citi Thank You Preferred Visa card. Earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. Citi, with you every step of the way.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown.
This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. We have with us our guest this evening, Rusty Fleming. And right before we went to break, what I led Rusty in on is going to be discussing the new directives that are being suggested or put out to Border Patrol agents, men and women on the front lines, about Obama's executive amnesty. Rusty, thank you again very much for being my guest this evening. Are you there, Rusty? Oh, no. Rusty?
No, I'm here. Sorry. I had the mic muted.
I was going to say, oh no, this is a new switchboard. I haven't figured out how to bring you back in on this one yet. Don't do that to me, Rusty. Thank you, Rusty. You scared me. Okay, so have you had a chance to speak with any border agents in your area on these new directives?
Sure. And you know, first, let me say this. You know, the order that the Obama administration gave to Border Patrol to start asking people that cross the border if they're eligible for amnesty makes the point perfectly that I've said for years. and that is we don't need more Border Patrol agents. We've got enough because their orders come from Washington. They have to do what they're ordered to do. That's who's pulling the chain. What we need is more local and state law enforcement on the border because they know how to handle this issue, and they aren't manipulated by Washington. Basically, what the president is doing, and the president before him did the same thing. They're playing politics with national security, and it really boils down to that. The agents that I've talked to are not one bit surprised about the amnesty order. They're more shook up right now about the gun sharing program and what's going on there. And I know you mentioned it, so we'll get to it. But at any rate, this didn't surprise anybody. They knew it was coming.
Yeah, and we're gonna move right along into that gun. I guess seeing that you have spoken with them, and many of them seemed so demoralized previously. I suppose that eventually, if you are a border agent, nothing would surprise you anymore out of this administration. And I suppose if you're not surprised, then you just take it with a grain of salt. Are they actually going to start asking, do you know if they are physically going to start asking illegals, will you qualify, or they're just going to say yeah and move on? Are they actually going to go through their rosters in the jail and find out who can get a get out of free card and actually do this, or is this just something that Obama's putting out there and the agents are just going to ignore it?
Well, let me put this to you. They can't just ignore it if it becomes a order. They have to do what they're ordered to do. But as of right now, the guys that I've talked to in our sector have not been ordered yet to do this. They've heard about it. They feel like it's been coming for a long time. So, again, they're not surprised. And, if they want to keep their job, they're going to have to follow orders.
But it's against the law to aid and abet an illegal alien, and that is exactly what he is telling Border Patrol to do.
Well,
the laws have not changed.
Armed cartels too, and we've done that.
Yeah, well, I also think that Eric Holder should be in jail. But okay, so let's move along then, for the sake of time here. You and I with 1 hour just never enough. With the weaponry, and being so short, and then they had taken all their other long rifles away a couple of months ago because they said they might malfunction. So now we are actually reporting, I shared with the listeners tonight, that this border agent had commented that there are 400 agents that have to share 100 rifles. This is utterly asinine and insane and dangerous. It's criminal, Rusty.
Well, it is, and it's incredibly dangerous. You have to think about it. If they're only arming 25% of the agents, with a long rifle, you have to understand that those rifles are zeroed in. In other words, the scope aligned, the sights aligned, the stock is aligned by each individual. So when you're sharing one gun per 4 guys, he's not going to be able to zero that gun in. So what you're going to have is the big possibility of innocent people getting shot and killed because they can't just be assured that the bad guy that they're wanting to shoot is going to get shot, seeing how the sights aren't lined.
Well, and what danger does this put our own agents in to begin with? And one of them even said, and let me share that quote again. He said, right here it is. He said, he said, what happens, talking about not being able to zero them in for their own, own situation and their own shooting. And if for anybody that shoots, if you zero in your own gun and you go, somebody else tries to shoot it, it's not the same. It says, what, excuse me, what happens when an agent shoots the wrong alien or smuggler, or God forbid, another agent because the gun sights are so far off? And can't you see a classic, either some Mexican suing the pants off the United States because a border agent shot the wrong person, or, even more demoralizing to the border agents themselves that they take out one of their own. I mean, this is
absolutely
an ice cream headache here. I don't get it. We can provide weaponry, arm terrorist groups, for Christ's sake, halfway around the globe, but we are unable to arm our own border patrol. This is an insult to our intelligence, Rusty.
Well, there again, it's another point that I raise, and that is that, they're playing politics with our national security down there. And there is not anybody in Washington that has a sense of urgency about this subject. They are playing footsies with it. I realize that the immigration issue is a hot potato political issue. Everybody pretty much agrees that if you're going to change immigration, you got to secure the border first. And they can't even define what they call a secure border. And that's really the starting point. Nobody can agree on it.
Well, and if you want to weigh
got their own definition of what a secure border is.
If you want to weigh in on this current Homeland Security funding debacle that we've got going on, the Republicans want to fund the Department of Homeland Security without amnesty. The Democrats want to fund the Department of Homeland Security with amnesty. So, anybody that really wanted to compromise one way or the other, you would think anybody, the two top dogs from each party, would be able to sit down and figure out we have all of these common interests. We all want to fund the Department of Homeland Security. The only problem we have is this amnesty thing. So how about we just not put that in the bill, take it out, and we can have a brawl in the hallway and down the aisles of Congress over this, but let's fund DHS. Wouldn't that just seem to be the grown-up thing to do?
Well, there's two words that don't exist in Washington. It's called common sense.
I thought you were going to say grown-up.
Right. It's the same thing.
Well, this is just... Do you have a inside information or a suspicion? What is your gut telling you on how this is going to end up, seeing that the funding for DHS does run out February 27th?
Well, I this is just purely a guess of mine. Since the Republicans control the House and the Senate now, more than likely they're going to get this funding done without the amnesty. But it's still not going to hurt Obama in making executive orders ordering Border Patrol to do what he wants them to do. It's not going to have any effect on that. So people are getting amnesty now under DHS.
Yeah.
And it's not funded for now.
Yep. Well, our laws aren't being enforced, period. So, they can call it whatever they want. They can even, talk Obama up, epic failure, and call it prosecutorial discretion. What's happening is it's just lawlessness. The illegal alien in this country is getting pandered to and getting a free ride, and while the rest of us get to, follow the law. And the laws aren't being enforced anyway. So really the discussion of amnesty, what the discussion should be is to secure the border, like you say, put those that are on the border in charge of securing it, and go and enforce our laws. I mean, but again, too much common sense. I just had another question for you. Oh, have you heard the latest about Jay Johnson from the Department of Homeland Security threatening to hold funds back if Obama doesn't get his amnesty to local and state law enforcement?
Well, that's something that has been, I guess, reported on. We're not so sure what they're going to do about that. There is a way to force his hand, and I'm not sure exactly how that works. Especially now that his job is as head of DHS, he's now a cabinet member, and I'm not sure if they have any exemptions or anything like that. But the people that I've talked to in the last couple of weeks have just simply said it's probably not going to change anything regardless of what they do.
I think I really honestly do, and it's not even, I am very flip about it sometimes, but I'm not even being flip here. I'm just being honest. If Obama truly is going to stand up there for the sake of illegal aliens over the safety, security, and sovereignty of this nation and its citizenry, really seriously veto a Department of Homeland Security funding bill, I say let him do it. Let him do it. And when the American citizenry starts to wake up and see what's going on, that he was being a big baby, 3-year-old in what diaper that can't get his way, so he's going to do this and he's going to do that, and the American citizenry is harmed more than it already is, it will backfire on him. Go ahead, let him veto it and see what happens. I think it's time that he has to stand up and be responsible for what his mouth is saying in real action.
Well, my mom and I get into this discussion frequently. It's kind of, I guess, strange that the Republicans have not tried to impeach him yet. They've got him on some very impeachable points. Yep. And, it's amazing to me that he's still in office.
I said three times tonight, Rusty, throughout the program, tonight's program alone, 3 times I have said that he is aiding and abetting. He is yet again breaking the law. This is an impeachable offense. He should be removed from office. You can say it 20 different ways to Sunday, but it all comes back to this. He's breaking the law. He should and could be removed from office. The problem is there doesn't seem to be either anybody in Washington with the balls to do it, or there's something that you and I don't know, because I too cannot understand why that discussion is not moving forward.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I have a couple ideas, but before I'd say that and I'd end up getting arrested, I'll wait and check them out. How's that? Oh, yeah, Rusty Fleming told me that! No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Put that on me.
Rusty is such a great patriot, and I thank him truly for each month he comes on this program and gets harassed by Ruthie, but we all learn something new, and truly I do thank you, sir. We have about 30 seconds left, so I am going to have to go, but thank you so very much, Rusty, for continuing to come on the Ruthie Report and share your expertise with the listeners and myself.
Thanks for having me, Ricky.
All right, so we'll see you here next month.
You got it.
All right, say hi to everybody for me.